This boy woke up one morning planning to skip school and play video games all day, but by nightfall his city had turned into a nightmare overrun by zombies, and he is completely alone with no food, no signal, and no way out. Let's see how he's going to survive this zombie apocalypse. We open on a young man named Jun-woo who wakes up one morning and decides school is simply not happening today. He finds a note from his mother asking him to go buy food and supplies, looks at it, puts it down and heads straight to his computer to play online games with his friends. And honestly, as far as terrible decisions go, skipping one grocery run doesn't seem that serious until it becomes the decision that nearly kills him. While he's gaming, one of his friends suddenly shouts through the headset to turn on the news. Jun switches on the TV and a news anchor is mid-sentence when the broadcast cuts out completely. He grabs his phone and there's no signal. He goes to the window and sees people running in panic, attacking each other in the street, and then he watches a girl viciously bite another woman in broad daylight. He stands there stunned and completely lost, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. He hears shouting inside his building and checks through the peephole but sees no one. Just as he's about to open the door, his neighbor bursts in, frantic and terrified, saying his own brother transformed into a zombie right in front of him and tried to kill him and he just needs somewhere to stay for a while. Jun, still not fully processing the scale of what's happening, refuses and tells him to call the police. The neighbor begs just to use the bathroom and Jun lets him in. The TV signal returns briefly and the news confirms what Jun feared: an infection has spread across entire cities, turning people into violent zombies driven by hunger for human flesh, and anyone bitten will turn too, with bleeding from the eyes as one of the first symptoms. Jun suddenly remembers his neighbor is still in the bathroom and grabs a knife. The neighbor comes out covering a wound on his neck and trying to insist he's fine and just needs 1 hour. Then the blood appears on his hand and his eye starts bleeding and he glances in the mirror and screams and his body begins convulsing and twisting until he fully transforms and lunges at Jun, trying to bite him. Jun fights him off, shoves him out of the apartment and stabs him as he tries to force his way back in, then locks the door just in time. Through the peephole he watches a massive zombie tear into his neighbor's body in the corridor. He doesn't make a single sound. Blood starts seeping under the door and Jun drags the entire refrigerator in front of it and stands there shaking, realizing this is not a nightmare and it is not going away. He tries to call his sister but the network is too weak until a message finally arrives from her saying don't worry, she's safe with their mother, never open the door, ration whatever food is left and be careful because the city is full of zombies. Jun looks at a photo of his family and then looks at the food in his apartment and feels the full weight of ignoring that grocery note hit him all at once. He falls asleep on the couch. The next morning the news is worse, more people are turning, doctors are urging everyone to stay inside with at least 2 months of supplies, and Jun is already looking at an amount of food that doesn't come close to that. He sees people online posting their names and addresses begging for rescue and he writes his own details on paper, photographs it and uploads it hoping someone will find him. He then sees a video of someone stepping onto their balcony to catch a signal and getting one before losing balance and falling. Jun takes that idea and improves it immediately. He attaches his phone to a drone, connects it to his VR goggles and flies it into the sky looking for a signal. It works. He gets 1 bar and is about to reach his sister when the battery dies and the drone crashes down to the street, taking his phone with it. He sits at his computer in silence and tries to play games but the network is still down and there is nothing left to do but sit with the fear. That night he hears noises outside and looks through the window and a gunshot barely misses his head. A female police officer is in the street fighting off a zombie horde, running out of bullets fast. She loads her final magazine but it isn't enough and before the zombies reach her she tries to use the gun on herself but fails. The gun drops and the zombies drag her away screaming. Jun watches every second of it and locks his eyes on that fallen gun because he knows he needs it. Then loud pounding starts at his own door, so powerful the refrigerator shifts and falls and a zombie comes through. Jun runs to the balcony in a split-second decision, hangs off the edge with his hands and pretends he jumped. The zombie chasing him actually leaps off the balcony believing Jun went over and falls to its death below. Jun pulls himself back up, looks down at the body and breathes for what feels like the first time all day. He nails the balcony doors shut with planks and then discovers every bit of food he had left spilled out of the fallen fridge during the attack. He records a video on his tablet saying it's his second day trapped and he doesn't know what to do and that it feels like a miracle he's still alive. 7 days in and Jun has drunk everything drinkable except his late father's bottle of alcohol. He's covered the balcony with sheets so zombies can't see in. He watches the news showing the same zombie footage on repeat with no solutions and no progress, prepares instant noodles and accidentally knocks over his last clean water and is forced to drink it off the floor. He refuses to leave even though he desperately wants that police officer's gun. More days pass and June starts drinking his father's alcohol more and more frequently until one afternoon he's dancing alone around the apartment in a drunken haze and starts hallucinating that his family has come home, runs toward his mother and then snaps out of it and realizes he's alone and breaks down completely. Then a voice message arrives from his mother. He climbs out the window to catch a signal and it works and she answers and what he hears destroys him. She says they're at the Adabak company, there are zombies breaking in, and then he hears her and his sister screaming as the call goes dead. June cries with his whole body, completely unraveling, then goes quiet and goes still and then completely snaps. He smashes everything in the apartment including the television, runs outside into the corridor, kills the zombie at his door and starts screaming in the open street. The noise pulls more zombies toward him and he sprints for the elevator only to find a zombie inside, changes direction, hides in total silence until they pass, sneaks back into his apartment and holds the door handle with everything he has while zombies pound on it from outside until they finally give up and leave. 20 days in. All the alcohol is gone. The electrical substations outside start exploding and the entire building loses power. June picks up his camera to make a final video and cannot say a single word. He ties a rope. He is done. Just as he begins to lose consciousness, a red laser appears on him from the apartment building across the street. It moves to a board that says simply, "No." June unhooks himself. The laser belongs to a woman named Kim who had been watching from her window and used her laser pointer to stop him. She signals to him with written boards telling him not to speak out loud so the zombies won't hear and they agree to communicate with hand gestures. She calls him an idiot for what he almost did and they agree to meet at their windows every morning at 7. June smiles for the first time in what feels like forever. There is someone else alive and that changes everything. Kim's apartment is a fortress, she has traps by the doors, weapons close by and enough food stored up. The next morning June oversleeps and rushes to the window to find Kim already there waiting, scolding him for being late. They introduce themselves properly and then Kim spots a zombie caught in one of her traps hanging in her apartment, excuses herself, walks over and calmly finishes it off with a hammer and comes back like she just dealt with a minor inconvenience. This woman is built differently. That night it rains and they both scramble to collect every drop using every cup and bowl they own. The next morning Kim sees June is clearly starving and decides to send him food. She tries throwing a ball attached to a rope across the gap between buildings but the distance is too far. June pulls out a second drone, ties a rope to it and flies it across to her apartment, and they successfully build a line between the two buildings. Kim sends a bag of food across and June receives it and the relief on his face is genuine and deep. But that relief lasts about 30 seconds before he notices a zombie in the street has grabbed the rope and is pulling it with enough force to drag the table it's anchored to, and Kim gets pulled with it and goes unconscious. The table ends up dangling outside her window and the zombie starts climbing the rope toward her. June throws bottles but they don't reach. He flies his remaining drone directly at the zombie and circles it to disorient it, which buys just enough time for Kim to regain consciousness, grab a weapon and cut the zombie's hand clean off before it reaches her window. June then wraps duct tape around his shoes to muffle his footsteps, sneaks into his dead neighbor's apartment using the keys he took from the body, goes straight to the fridge and takes everything he can carry. A zombie lunges at him from behind and he uses a nearby corpse as a shield and escapes back to his own apartment. He sends some of the food to Kim along with a walkie-talkie he found and when they finally speak to each other through the radios June is almost giddy from just hearing another human voice. Kim thanks him for the food. He says she saved his life. She tells him she didn't save his life, he wanted to live and she just gave him a reason to hold on. Think about that line for a second because that is one of the truest things anyone says in this entire film. They spend the day cooking at the same time and talking and getting to know each other and Kim admits she's afraid of heights, which June finds hilarious given that this is a woman who just chopped off a zombie's hand with zero hesitation. Kim says she stopped thinking of them as people and that's why it was easy. Then they both hear what sounds like rain and get excited for water collection until they realize the sound is a massive horde of zombies running straight toward the building. They both drop to the floor but Kim accidentally knocks over a table and the crash draws the zombies toward her unit. June doesn't hesitate, he calls the phone line of another apartment in her building and the ringing pulls the zombies away from her door just in time. That is pure 1 billion IQ survival thinking from a guy who not long ago was drinking floor water and hallucinating his mother. They agree it is time to leave. Kim has been watching a specific nearby building for days and believes the 8th floor is clear. She goes first, ties a rope to herself, climbs out the window and fights through zombies on her way down with precision and controlled aggression that makes June watch in complete awe. She retrieves the fallen police officer's gun from the street, and just as a zombie is about to bite her, June rushes down and joins the fight. Together they battle through and make it to the building Kim identified, slam the doors shut and rush to the elevator just as the glass behind them starts giving way under the zombie pressure. They reach the 8th floor and start checking the hallway, no zombies visible, but all the apartment doors are locked. Then a zombie appears from behind them, and within seconds an entire horde materializes and June slams down a heavy iron gate across the hallway to buy time while they fight to find a way in. Kim manages to get one apartment door open, but someone yanks her inside from the other side, throws a smoke grenade and calls for June to follow. They find safety briefly and Kim immediately asks who he is. He introduces himself as Seong, says they should be thanking him and offers water. Kim watches him carefully until he drinks from the bottle himself before she agrees to touch it. He offers food too and tells them to eat while they wait for the rescue team. June and Kim both freeze on those words. A rescue team is actually coming. June is so overwhelmed he hugs Kim right there. Then June collapses. Seong drugged the food. Kim goes down moments later. When Kim wakes up, she is tied up in a room with a chained zombie right beside her, and Seong's voice comes from behind the door. He starts releasing the zombie toward her and tells Kim the truth, that zombie is his wife and he has been keeping her alive by feeding her living humans, and Kim is the next meal. June wakes up in the other room and aims the gun at Seong, calling him a monster. Seong is broken and desperate, saying he is just trying to save his wife, and offers June food and his freedom if he just lets the zombie reach Kim. June struggles to hold the chain, but it slips and the zombie moves closer to Kim, who screams, and June frantically tries to get the door open while Seong falls to the ground, and then suddenly Kim goes quiet. Seong opens the door thinking it's done, but his wife turns on him immediately and attacks. Kim grabs the gun and aims it at both of them. Seong doesn't fight it. He looks at his wife and says let her feed, and just allows it to happen. Kim has no choice. She pulls the trigger and kills them both. The gunshot echoes through the entire building and every zombie in range starts moving toward them. The sound of growling and pounding footsteps fills the corridors, and Kim hands the gun to June and tells him to shoot her before the zombies reach them because she doesn't want to turn. June is crying and shaking and can't bring himself to do it, and then they hear helicopters. Military helicopters circling the building. They run to the rooftop throwing smoke grenades as signals and fighting through zombies on the staircase. Kim slips and falls, and June catches her and pushes her to keep going. She reaches the rooftop, but by the time June follows and locks the door behind him, the helicopters are already pulling away. Gone. June stands there and screams into the sky with everything left in him, begging for anyone to hear. The zombies break through the rooftop door and charge toward them, and June fires the last of his bullets until the gun clicks empty and they stand there bracing for the end. Then a military helicopter swings back into view and opens fire on every zombie on that rooftop, clearing it completely. Soldiers call for them and June and Kim climb aboard. The helicopter lifts off and they are finally, genuinely safe. Flying over the destroyed city, they hear a radio broadcast reporting over 50,000 infected and a city that has become nearly empty, and then the broadcaster mentions how the military located June thanks to the photo he uploaded online in those first desperate hours. That small desperate act of hope at the very beginning of the nightmare is what saved his life at the end of it. Don't click off yet, just give me 1 minute, let me tell you something important about this movie. Billions family, here is what Alive taught me that I will never forget. June almost died not from zombies but from silence. From being unseen. From feeling like nobody knew he existed anymore. And the only thing that pulled him back was one stranger across the street with a laser pointer and 2 words on a board that said, no. You don't need to save someone's life to save their life. Sometimes just seeing them is enough. Sometimes just showing up is enough. So here is your takeaway, check on the people around you. Not because they're asking. Because the ones who need it most never ask. The photo June uploaded when nobody responded and it felt completely pointless was the exact thing that brought the helicopter back at the end. Your smallest act of hope on your worst day can be the thing that saves you when you least expect it. Never stop planting those seeds. Every story we tell leaves you with something real to carry into your life. If you made it to the end, like, subscribe and tell us your thoughts in the comment below. Help us reach 1,000 likes on this video. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.